Hey sheepdogs, Chap here. Welcome to Overwatch. Hey, so this is our Monday night video. We're going to do things a little bit different tonight. I'll do a video later on this week and we'll get back in Jimmy's book, but I believe everything happens for a reason. And part of the reason that I felt led to start Sheepdogs was to be honest and transparent with y'all. One of the things that you tend to see on Sunday mornings are people with Bibles tucked under their arms and smiles on their faces, and everything's just fine and great. And I'll be honest with you, man, that's just not always the case. Now, I've been honest with y'all about my struggle, post-traumatic stress. And I've also been honest with you about my victory. I still walk in victory. I've not been defeated. I'm not going to be defeated. Okay, but with that said, I still have bad days. Sunday was a very, very bad day for me. I even had my own little pity party, and I wondered that, I started questioning myself and everything else. And where I messed up is I got caught up in emotion. Now, if you've been a sheepdog for 15 minutes, you know that emotions can't be trusted. Emotions, they're not a gauge, they're not a guide. If you aren't careful, they will direct your decisions, your actions, your words, your thoughts, and next thing you know, you're in a mess. The Bible in 2 Corinthians 5:7 tells us that we're supposed to walk by faith, not by sight. That let me just break that down, kind of unpack that a little bit. What that means is simply this: no matter what you see, no matter what you feel, no matter what the enemy whispers in your ear, okay, your faith is rock solid. Feelings can't be trusted. If you've ever lost a teammate, if you've ever lost a family member, your feelings get raw. You question things that you normally wouldn't question. Therefore, you don't operate off feelings. One of the things that we drove into when I was an instructor on the police department, and even now on the team, we stress that in a crisis you're going to revert to your highest level of training. You're not going to follow all the pieces. You're going to go, oh my Lord, what if I have to shoot this guy? What if this? What if that? You're going to get into the zone. You're going to do what you're trained to do, and you're going to operate that way. Feelings has nothing to do with how we operate. They don't have a solid, emotions don't have a solid foundation. They're like the waves that come in. You watch them, they toss to and fro on the way into the beach, and then they roll and they tumble, and finally they crash onto the beach and they just dissipate into the sand or go back out again. There's no foundation for them. Your faith is rock solid. The more you exercise that faith and the more that God works in your life, the more solid it becomes. Now, if you remember the last video I made, I told you about some land I was trying to sell and how all the land around it had sold except for ours, okay? But I told you I wasn't worried about that because God had a plan, that He was in the real estate business. That very night, as a matter of fact, we got a phone call from a agent friend of ours, and we were offered cash money for the land, and they wanted a contract that night. So the land sold. We're moving forward with that. To God be the glory. All right. I didn't follow all the pieces and wring my hands and say, "Oh God, what am I going to do?" and this, that, and the other. Okay, that's one that I won. Well, I lost this weekend. Okay. Until He spoke to me in my spirit, and he reminded me that He was so much more to me. He is so much more to you than mere emotions. He is your rock. You understand what I'm saying? Now listen, When he spoke to me in my spirit this morning, he told me Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, semicolon, and do not lean on your own understanding. Okay, that semicolon is there because both of those parts of that sentence are as equally as important. One doesn't work without the other. Okay, so that word trust, let's talk about that word trust just a minute. And you'll see where I messed up yesterday. But usually I'm good about trusting him. Okay, and here's why. On a team, we go up to a door and we start through the door. If I'm the first through the door, I go opposite of the hinges. My partner comes in with me and we dump into that room together. And he is so close to me that his chest armor is touching my back armor. So when we dump into that room and we do whatever it is we need to do, even if I see a threat to my front in his area, or he sees it, whichever, contact front left. Okay, that tells him as soon as he comes in behind me, there's somebody to the left there that he needs to deal with, and I don't have to worry about him anymore. Why? Because I know he's got him. All right? God's no different, except he takes point. God ain't second fiddle to nothing. He takes point. Okay? So whatever's waiting on you, he's the one that runs into it first. Okay, so let's talk about my pity party this weekend. I'm using it as a training session. Here's why. This past week, I lost a very good friend, my age, and I have another sheepdog. He was a sheepdog, and then I have another sheepdog that means very, very much to me, who's in very, very poor health. Here's what I know about that hurt. That hurt is temporary because their suffering here was temporary or is temporary in one's case. Okay? You have to look beyond your feelings and you have to go with what you know. We're told in training time and time and time again, in time of crisis, you're going to revert to your highest level of training. Why should your spiritual warfare be any different? There's no reason that it should be. So how do you revert to your highest level of training when bad days come? That happens by reading the Word, because he will call it to your remembrance. And just like yesterday, it was like the 4th of July in my mind because I had all these scriptures going up and bursting in my spirit, telling me not to worry about what I'm feeling, but to go with what I know. Now, let me explain to you what Bible verses are for. They're not to give you warm fuzzies. All right? That's not what, God's not the warm fuzzy kind of God. He has a plan for our lives, and he comforts us when we need it so that we can turn around and comfort somebody else. Okay? I have a buddy of mine that just fought cancer. God brought him through it. He's fine. He's going to be fine. But he can talk to somebody about cancer in a way that I can't. I can talk to him about what the Bible says. I can talk to him what Jesus said, where it says, my peace I leave with you. It is a gift. Okay? And he goes on to say in John, I think it's 14:27, I think it is. He talks about the peace that he leaves with us, and not that the peace that the world gives, because the world goes with what's going on here and now. Okay, money, job, influence, status, all these kinds of things. All right, the joy that we have in the Lord is not an emotion; it's a principle. It's a foundation. It's a solid hope. The more of these verses that you read, the more that come to your mind. And if you'll get to the point to where you just understand that God's in control, he knows what's going on, Nothing's coming to you that he didn't see coming. All right, nothing's going to get by him. And once you put that trust, like the land, okay, once you put the trust in him that he's going to deal with it, and when he starts working in your lives, guys, you start believing more. You start believing him for more. Now, I'm not talking about health and wealth and fly around on a jet and all this silliness. I'm talking about healing for your souls. And if you know anything about PTSD, you'll know that you're so tired. All right, you're tired all the way down into your soul. Sunday, I was tired all the way into my soul. I was, it was pathetic. What I should have done was claimed a victory in Jesus' name and got on with it and let him minister to me. But in Romans, it tells us he makes all things work together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. I've learned from Sunday. Okay, I've learned what to do when that comes around again. Isaiah 26:3 says, "You, Lord, give true peace to those who depend upon you because they trust you." Isaiah 26:3. Now, I've got some other stuff I'm going to put down below here for you to look at. You got some homework. You got to read a few verses here. All right, I want you to go back to John 14:27. I want you to read that. Proverbs 4:8. I want you to read that. Proverbs 4:23. I want you to read that. Proverbs 16:10. I want you to read that. When we start walking by faith, when we start believing that God will do what he said he would do, then the things that we face on a battlefield, the things that we face on a tactical op, those things that we face while we roll into a fire or anything else, those things become easier to deal with because you're not having to figure out what's next. He is. Now, with that said, chap's good. I'm good. All right, I'm good. I had my little pity party Sunday, and I'm okay. But I showed you, and I don't have one with me now, the keychains and the bracelets and things that I'm making out of paracord. I've given away almost 20 of these things now. If you want one, shoot me an email. Hey, chat, I was in the Marine Corps. I was in the Army. I was in, whatever. And I'll try to make one for your colors. I made one for my friend who's very, very ill. I made it in the Vietnam service ribbon colors and gave it to him. And his wife is going to put his dog tags on that keychain, and he really liked it and he appreciated it. But it was my way just to honor him, and I'd like to honor you if you'd let me. Something else, guys, if you would just share this with other people. We lose 23 folks a day. That's too many. That's 23 too many. I have such a burden because I used to be one of those. I was almost one of those. I've touched on that before. I planned my suicide 3 separate times. On the third time, if my wife and I had God not intervened that morning and we had a conversation, and I don't mind sharing it with you. I had been retired for a while, and I was going through a lot, and I was feeling sorry for myself. And she made a statement, and the statement was this: "I can't believe that you've been retired 2 years and we're still dealing with this." Instantly, the enemy took the opportunity to try to derail me, and it worked. I had planned the next day to end my life. I had planned to call a buddy of mine that works in a local jurisdiction to have him, hey, come out to my house tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And by the way, I'm going to be at this location. Just pull back there. And that would have been unfair to everybody involved, especially him. After that afternoon, I was in a great mood. I felt like it was about to be over and everything was going to be cool. The next morning, we're having coffee, and I'm a lot of things are banging around in my mind, and I'm thinking about, this is the last time we're going to do this, and she's going to be rid of this in a little while, and she's not going to put up with it anymore, and nothing could have been further from the truth. And she looked across her coffee cup at me, and my wife in the mornings, she'll never be more beautiful all day than she is right then, because it's just pure, honest beauty. We have been married 41 years now. And she looked at me and she said, what is it do you think I meant by my statement yesterday? I said, I know exactly what you meant, and don't worry, I'm going to take care of it. She said, no, you don't know. What I meant by that statement is, I can't help you. I don't know what to do for you. You won't let me talk to you about the Lord. You won't. Every time I say that you need to be praying about what's going on with you, you get defensive. And I did, because I knew she was right. I knew she was right. And she said, I made that statement because my heart is breaking, because I can't help you. Had we not had that conversation, you wouldn't be watching this video. God has a plan. Nothing happens to you in this world by coincidence. Nothing happens to you in this world by luck. Everything that happens to you in this life, good, bad, and ugly, and I'm going to tell you something, PTSD is as bad as it gets. You understand what I'm saying? I will never be free of it. What I am is I'm walking in victory, because when these dark days come, and they don't have, I don't have them nearly like I used to, and you won't either, okay? But I was thinking along as I was putting these videos together that I just want to be honest with y'all. I want to be open with you, and I want you to understand that it's a struggle, it's a fight, but it's not a fight that you have to engage on your own. The more the Bible that you read, the more of the verses that you commit to memory, the more you trust God to lead you day by day. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about next week. Don't worry about next month. Don't worry about next year. Okay? You need to worry about a step by step by step. That's what you need to worry about. Okay? And let Him do the heavy lifting. Matthew 11, I can't remember the last few verses in Matthew 11, He says, come to me, all that are heavy laden, and I will give you rest for your soul. Okay? And the reason He breaks it down so elementary in His statement is because we try to complicate it. You, me, us, the world. Okay? Number one, we're not equipped to figure God out. You're just not. You don't have the brain capacity. Okay? So don't try. Trust Him. When this thing with the land started, God, I don't know how you're going to do it, but I know you're going to do it because you said you would. God, I don't know how you're going to take this hurt out of my heart, but you said you would, and He has. I made the statement more than one time. I go toe to toe with anybody. All right, don't really want to go that route, but I can. But because I've let Him have His way in my life, I have the gift of tears now. There was a time when I was about as hard-hearted as they come, okay, nothing moved me. It's like I was just absolutely dead inside. But here's what I know. In verse 6, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, we talked about that. In verse 6, he says, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Plural, more than one, paths. Okay, here's what that means. Okay, at the start of everything, the start of every day, the start of every decision, the start of everything you start to do, you put your trust and confidence in him and acknowledge who he is. You are Lord God. You are Jehovah Jireh. You are my King. Did you know that here's what I so love about being a sheepdog. Do you know that on the battlefield, when a commander would go and kneel before his king, he would either remove his helmet and tuck it under his right arm, or he would, when he knelt in front of the king, and I'm going to kind of demonstrate, he would lean his head all the way forward, and there would be about a 2-inch gap between his armor and his helmet. That was a symbol to his king that my life is yours to take if you so desire. So the next time you pray, give God that 2-inch gap. Let him know that your life is his to do what he wants to do with. You want to get well? You want to enjoy your life? You want to help other guys and girls get well? I just got reached out to by a couple of guys with the North Carolina National Guard and was offered a chance to work with their folks. Okay, my PTSD turned out to be a blessing for me, even with yesterday. Even with as bummed out as I was yesterday, God knew I was bummed out. He put all 3 of my grandboys at my house yesterday. That made the day just so much more bearable. But that was self-inflicted on me, all right? Now, I know we're at 22 minutes, and I know I've been running my mouth, but this is important, okay? You're going to have those days. Big friggin' deal, okay? Understand them for what they are, okay? Understand that he is who he said he is, and put his word into operation. Because he said in verse 6, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall, okay? That's present tense, all right? But that's also, that word shall means it's used to express what is inevitable. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what that word means? Inevitable. It means there's no he might. I wonder if he's going to. He did last time, but I don't know if he's going to this time. Shall. That's a promise, okay? But that promise comes with a condition, and you're going to have to trust him. Look, if you can go in a room with me and trust me to save your life, or if I can go into a room and trust you to save my life, or if we can go into a fire, or if we can go into a battlefield together and see things and do things that normal people don't have to do, then I can surely trust him, right? Something else too to your families. We may not talk about things to y'all that we've seen, and the reason being is we don't want you seeing them in your mind's eye, all right? But we've had to do things that we just don't want you to know that we've had to do. We've encountered things we don't want you to know that we've encountered, because it would have an effect on you as well. Folks, you're doing exactly what your sheepdog needs you to do. Just support them, love on them. The most important thing you can do for your sheepdog and for you is to pray over them, whether they want you to or not. Don't give them the choice. Pray over them anyway and ask God to act in their lives. All right, I'm gonna close this up, and I'm gonna add those scriptures at the bottom. Sheepdogoverwatch@gmail.com. prayerplease, the number 8 at gmail.com. Both of those, please use those. It would be nice to hear from you. Hey, and look, dude, it can be a sentence. Hey, your message reached me, or hey, thanks for the message, or you helped me, or whatever. Give me something. Let me know, because I do have such a burden for you guys, because I'm one of you. And you know, when I started my fight, I tried it without the Lord, and I was alone and cut off, and I just thought I was gone. But I had a praying wife who wouldn't give up. She wouldn't stop praying for me. And God took up where she couldn't go anymore. Okay? I give her tons of credit for even staying with me. Okay? So I got better. You're going to get better. All right? I like being transparent with you, because I want you to see that Chap's still here. And I'm still here because God's still on the throne, that nothing surprises him. And he loves you guys, and so do I. So later on this week, if I get time, I'm going to say goodbye to my friend this week. So I want to try to go ahead and post another video from Jimmy's book, but I felt led to do this. I felt like this was probably just as important. So with that said, please hit the share button and hit the little bell to let you know when something's posted. And if the videos run a little bit long, you can always pause them and come back to them. But I'd like to hear from you. Please, I'd like to hear from you. I'd like you to use the prayer email. You don't have to bare your heart to me. You don't have to put things in there. And you can just, hey, Chap, I'm having a hard time at work. I'm having a hard time with a call I answered. I'm this, I'm that. That's all I need, because he already knows. But why not have somebody praying over you? I mean, doesn't hurt. It's the most important thing somebody can do for you. So I appreciate your time. Hey, this is Chap telling you, you're going to be all right. I'm going to be all right. We're going to be all right together, because Jesus is on the throne. Nothing's going to take him by surprise. Nothing's happening in your life or my life that he doesn't already know about. Okay? But just because he already knows don't mean you don't have to sit down with him and talk to him about it. All right? Show him that 2-inch gap between your armor and your helmet. Show him that respect. This is Chap. I'll see you next time.